wow, Sora has really thrown all copyright concerns through the window.
All right, welcome to Culture and Code, a podcast about the biggest shifts in culture and tech. I'm Inamoto, a creative entrepreneur and founding partner of Ironcore, a global innovation firm based in New York, Tokyo, and Singapore.
And my name is Tara Tan. I run Strange Ventures, an early stage fund focused on the future of computing.
So today's topic, AI related, but specifically, and this was your suggestion, and it gave me a reason to play around with it more. So we're talking about Sora, and then the latest version of Sora, which I guess is Sora 2.0 or Sora 2. Why don't you start off by A, why you wanted to talk about this, and B, your early observations?
I mean, I think it's pretty timely, right? So, in a nutshell, OpenAI launched Sora, I want to say 2 weeks ago now.
Mhm.
And they did it they had a pretty nice growth hacky guerrilla marketing launch, which was through the Sora social app. So
Yeah,
this was almost like a TikTok style app, but it was all AI generated content.
yeah,
And the way they launched it was that they had invite codes and it was
yeah.
pretty, hard to get and so on. And so it drove a lot of buzz. I think in its first couple of weeks, it got a million downloads. So
Enough
really
to enough to shoot it up to the top of the app chart.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So, really great growth hacking there. I would say my initial thoughts were, number one, there was a lot of slop, right? So
Oh,
one of the fun things about it was
oh man.
you could basically create a digital avatar of yourself and create, sort of things around it. So you had so many videos of Sam Altman, speaking in Mandarin or driving a car through New York or something like that. It was just all crazy stuff. But there was a lot of slop. That was my first take.
Was it all slump in a way? Was it anything other than slump?
I would say there's potential for it to be not slop.
Potential, yes. Yeah,
Potential. But in
yeah,
the first couple of days, I think people were just playing with it.
yeah.
It was clear that the creators were not really there. But you know what
Oh,
was interesting was that I started seeing it everywhere. I started seeing Sora type content everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
some of them were really cute, right? I would call them, I would say it's brain rot content, brain rot.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So like you would have a dog shaped like a blueberry eating a blueberry,
yeah.
like that kind of content. So it's very visually cute, but it's kind of junk food.
Mm, mm, mm. So that was your first point. I
That's my first.
interrupted you. What was the second point?
So my second point is that wow, Sora has really thrown all copyright concerns out the window.
Yeah.
They've basically said, I don't care, come at me. Clearly, there were people doing like Pikachu content or like clearly copyrighted content, but right now they're like, I don't care. I think that's
You
their
know,
stance.
so on that note, I
Yeah.
have an observation to make,
Okay.
and this sounds a little extreme,
Okay.
but I found it extremely arrogant for OpenAI to do it, and Sam Altman to do it. Number one. Number two, depending on how you look at it, and because I come from Japan, I found the approach to be very. I'm not going to mince my words, but almost racist and white supremacy.
What?
Let
What?
me
How
let
did
me
we
tell
get
you
there?
why. Let
Okay.
me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. So what apparently this is what I read. What
Okay.
OpenAI did was that this was an opt-in
Yes.
situation, right? So you can opt in to have your content, or I guess you opt out to have your content not be used by Sora. And then
Okay.
OpenAI informed Disney's and other entertainment companies in the US. But they chose not to inform Japanese entertainment companies.
Oh.
So this was big news headline in Japan that week because, and there was a statement made by the Japanese foreign minister saying, like, why did you choose not to inform Japanese companies when when you clearly informed American companies? So
Interesting.
like it was filled with Studio Ghibli like content because OpenAI didn't bother to inform them to opt out of their content being used. So I find it not only extremely arrogant, but also selectively informing people is very disrespectful and therefore racist.
I had
That's
no
my
idea.
very
I had no
compelling
idea. I
take.
thought everyone was under the same blanket rule, but now you're
No, no,
saying
it's not. It's
they,
not.
for some reason, did not approach Japanese companies. Did they tell
They,
American companies to opt out? They did.
they apparently that's what they did. They approached Disney's of the world, but not Japanese companies. Language barrier, whatever the reason may have been, I don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
and I'm probably taking it more personally than other people, non-Japanese people, but like because it's not news here, but I noticed it. It's being talked about in Japan. Yeah, and it's being, statements are being made, but it's not getting picked up because it doesn't really affect American companies, but it's affecting Japanese companies. And then they very quickly they say, oh, you know what, like we're not going to use your content unless you let us use it. But it's
Well,
like
yeah,
a
but
little too late.
the damage has been done,
Yeah,
and it's
it's yeah,
interesting. I mean, most of
yeah,
the content that was out there were, or the most of the sort of cameos or the reused IP were Japanese characters.
yes,
So like
yeah,
Pokemon, Pikachu's were
yeah,
everywhere. I saw like Dragon Ball Z, like anime type content.
yeah.
So very clearly Japanese IP. It's interesting.
And
Yeah, I did not hear.
they chose not. It's not even they didn't bother to, but they chose not to.
It's very selective.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty controversial. Yes,
yes,
that's pretty
yes,
controversial. And
yeah,
it made me think, the US has always been a pretty vocal champion of IP
yes.
generally,
Oh yeah.
but this move is pretty counter to it. And maybe it's, a stunt, a publicity stunt or a marketing stunt or growth hacking stunt. I don't know. But this is making me think. So China is coming over and looking at Sora and being like, oh, wait, these guys don't care about IP laws. Maybe we don't have to care about IP laws because there's no consequences. So, this is going to start off a whole chain of, well, if they didn't do it, why should we?
So you know what's happening with Chinese entertainment companies, and this is happening even before Sora, is that Chinese entertainment companies or production companies are taking old kung fu movies and kung fu stars, right, and making fictional sequels to those movies where the movie actor might be dead or the film director might be dead or gone or the production company might not exist, but they're just making these movies without getting permission, and some of them are getting sued by the family estates of those
Yeah.
individuals.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's crazy. This sort of fan fictions type stuff has been around for a long time, right? But it's
mhm,
always existed in text. So people would spin
yes,
off like fan fiction universes or fan created universes based on the characters, and so on. But now that it's visual, it becomes harder to sometimes tell if it's fan made content or studio made content.
or AI, fan
Yeah,
with AI made content, a
exactly.
very very great blurred line between the
Very,
two.
very, very,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, whether we like it or not, I think we're in a new era. I'm pretty sure the studios here are pretty concerned about it. But it is this kind of rolling beast that is kind of coming and encroaching on a lot of IP rights in many ways.
yeah. But by the way, I didn't mean to interrupt. What are the other points that you wanted to make? Go on.
Those were my major ones. And the last one was, did you get a headache? I was watching it and I felt like the frame rate was a little bit off,
Oh,
but by like a hair of a second. So it gave me that same type of headache that wearing AR or VR glasses does.
yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
made me think that the frame rate is slightly off. I'm very sensitive to that, but the frame rate is slightly off. It
Uh,
was like a that was
I
like
did not pick up on that. I mean, the clips are pretty short, and each scene,
yes.
is pretty short. That may be why.
I watch a
No,
lot of short content. I watch a lot of short content.
I see, I
But
see.
like I
And
think
you don't get that.
no, it tingled the part of my brain that triggers when I wear AR or VR glasses.
Maybe it's psychological, just because it's
No, no,
well,
no, no. It was pretty
no,
clear. Yeah, I think the frame rate is
interesting,
like a hair off. The frame rate is a hair off.
interesting. Wow, that's
And
very
this happens all the time, right? When the first films came out in the world, Lumiere brothers,
yeah,
and people watched the first film, which was a shot of a train coming into a train station.
yeah, 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 yeah.
People threw up. People in the
Yes, I
cinema
do know
threw
about
up.
that.
You remember the story?
Right.
And it's because
Yes,
the
yes.
frame rate is off, but I feel like it's a
Yeah.
similar it was a similar sort of tingling in my brain, and
Interesting.
I tried it a couple of times. I went back, watched other content, came back to it, and it triggered the same part of my brain. So I know that we're evolving is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well, my take is I did find the approach to be very clever, and they did it quite effectively in terms of generating a buzz. So instead of releasing Sora purely as a tool to make content, they made it so that it's social network, right? And I want to like that approach because it was effective in generating a buzz. And then on top of that, they restricted it so that it was harder to get in. And it was hard. Like I had to ask you for my access
Yeah.
code. Yeah. And that approach was quite clever, very Silicon Valley, and obviously, like we talked about, effective enough that it made the app go number one. What I did notice, I played around with it. And by the way, like the way that I came across that content was outside of Sora. Like some of my friends are posting content that was generated. And some of them, like I knew immediately, oh, this is not him or her. Like I knew immediately it wasn't them, but it was still entertaining. But one of them, I had to watch it 3 times to realize that it wasn't them. It was real enough. It was a person and a dog, and both of those subjects were real enough that I was like, oh, this is a funny clip, and this individual that I know happens to be a funny guy, so it was very him. And then the clip was realistic enough that it didn't feel like a piece of slop content. But then I watched it the third time. I was like, okay, this is off. This is not him. And
Yeah.
then realized that it was generated by Sora. And then yeah, like I browsed through a bunch of clips on Sora, and it'll be interesting like how they evolve this platform, whether to leave it as is and just make it reminded me of Giphy. So it's just purely entertainment content, purely like brain candy content, and nothing more than that, nothing less than that. And there's probably big enough market for them to keep at it, obviously. Am I the target audience? Am I interested in that content? No, like I just found it so so slop
I mean,
that
some of it's really creative though. Like
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't
I
agree.
actually like the ASMR videos where they're like, oh,
Yeah.
cutting a piece of crystal
Oh
mango
yeah,
or
yeah.
something. Like those are, I mean, those are kind of like interesting. And I feel like they exist probably better intertwined within your other, social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram or whatever
Yeah.
versus just pure AI, pure AI.
Yeah. Whether Sora stays AI only content or not is TBD. Well, it's probably is going to be, but like what's going to be interesting and potentially complicated moving forward is that this content being part of Instagrams and TikToks and X's and LinkedIn's, and people don't know the difference between what's real versus what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's already happening.
I
It's
mean,
already
it's already
happening.
happening. It's
It's
already
already
happening.
happening.
There
Yeah.
was a post I think I screenshotted it, and somebody on Reddit was like, "This post had like 700,000 likes on Facebook,
Okay.
and it was clearly AI." But
And was
people
it a
didn't
clip
know.
generated from Sora?
Yeah, it was like a little clip about some story about a kid. I can't remember what it was exactly, but this Redditor was like, "We're cooked," because it's like 700,000 likes on Facebook, and people
Yeah.
didn't couldn't tell it was fake.
Yeah.
But I think that that's pretty common generally, and it's going to become even more prevalent. I mean,
Yeah.
my thought is that this version of Sora, the social media app, is probably already tamed down. They could have gone really, really radical. So, like the minute,
What do you mean by
say,
that?
for example, like the minute you record a video, it starts multiplying it
Mm.
on its own,
Right,
right?
right, right,
It can
right.
actually do that.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
could actually be an entirely self-generating social media feed,
Yeah. Right.
like
Right.
entirely, like
Yeah.
without even human input.
Yeah.
So you could
So your point about the hype sort of coming down a bit, what I did notice was the rating in the App Store of this app is pretty bad.
Oh, yeah? Interesting.
It's like barely 3
Hmm.
out of 5. And I mean, usually, most of the apps that are that popular
Right,
are 4 or above,
right.
usually. Yeah. And then when the rating is 3 or lower, I think it's going to struggle. Like if it stays the way it is, I think that's indicating. I mean, yeah, it's created a lot of buzz, at least in the first 2 weeks or so. Whether it will stay like ChatGPT managed to stay at the top of the app chart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's very experimental for them.
yeah, I agree with that.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's like, oh, they're gonna put a lot of eggs into it.
yeah. I mean, it's a toy
It's
at
a
this point.
right, right. And obviously
Yeah, it's
Meta also launched Vibes that
yes,
same week. So
yeah,
we're all in there. I mean, I in general love the democratization of creative work.
yeah.
A long time ago, I said 25 years ago, I was very much into film and I was making film.
Mm.
And that
You were
process,
like shooting. You were shooting
I
film.
was shooting, I was writing, I was editing, I was directing, like I was really big into film. And that learning curve was actually quite high to use
Oh
the
yeah,
tools and to go out and to shoot everything and to like edit it. That was a lot of work.
yeah,
Hours and hours and hours. It's an almost like, it was so hard. But now
yeah,
you can kind of create these amazing universes
yeah.
through these tools. So I think
with
when the
with almost no knowledge, with almost no skill.
I would argue that there is skill. It's different type of skill in a
Uh,
sense.
Same on that.
So for example, you still need to know, like the people who get really, really good results
Yeah.
can prompt it a certain way. So they know what they're looking for, right? They know
Right, right, right,
like
right.
that type of angle. Maybe they know a reference from a specific style or aesthetic, and you
Yeah,
kind of use that,
yeah,
and that sort of knowledge informs the prompt itself.
yeah.
So I would say that there is still skill.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
it, it's just less manual,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think that when the true creatives get their hands on it
Mhm.
versus the tech bubble of Silicon Valley, I think that's where we'll actually see the real craft and magic
Yeah,
come in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think I may have said this in another episode, but at the end of the day, the more interesting stuff will come from people who will they don't have to be like pros and experts, but the people who are willing to spend more time with it
Great.
and to spend more to experiment more with it, to push it, and those people will bubble to the top. They will be not even 10%, 5%, 2% of the population, or 2% of the people who are posting on these things. So I think right now there's a lot of slop. Yeah, give it another week or two. Maybe there'll be interesting things that are coming out of it. But if it stays this way, there's just more junk to
Yeah.
fill our screens.
I mean, one of my favorite, I always go back to this art project. One of my
Mm.
favorite art projects in
Okay.
AI that I absolutely love. I have no idea who's doing this. Is probably, I think the person is still stealth or not stealth or like, anonymous.
Okay.
But one of my very, very favorite projects, I don't know if I've shown you this, called the Visual Dome. And this person just created this entire universe
Mm.
of these sort of civilization, and they
Okay.
live in different districts, and within each district there are like histories. The residents look
Oh.
different. There's entirely new rules that they sort of live in,
Mm.
and it's just absolutely stunning. I wish I can show you. So yeah, 5 districts, different bloodlines, different population. This person mapped out an entire universe of
Mm.
like, you know, what these people look like, the residents, their behavior. Like, look at this.
Oh,
This is
wow. Oh, wow.
so beautiful.
A world of
And
diversity. Talk about diversity.
I know. And this person, I think, created this probably, it's got to be a year ago, year and a half ago. I've been following
Okay.
their universe for a while, but I'm like, this is
Wow.
pure craft. Like,
It's
this is
beautiful.
pure
Yeah.
craft. So,
Yeah.
like, stuff like this really excites me. And I think we're going to see like creativity on a different scale. Like, look at this.
So just to describe this, what you're
Yeah.
showing, it's these realistically
Real.
rendered
Yeah.
fictional worlds. Some of
Yeah.
them look like people, but some of them, like these, look like aliens from another planet or
Yeah.
something. Somewhat futuristic, somewhat retro as well. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like just the creations. Like these are
yeah.
high craft.
I
Like
would imagine that this person is a photographer by trade.
I'm sure. Like somehow related
Yeah,
to the creative field. Like just the knowledge about, obviously depth of field,
yeah.
lighting,
Lighting is very consistent.
lighting's very consistent. Even the color palette,
Well, yeah,
the
yeah,
art direction is it's like supreme. It's amazing. But yeah, so stuff like that, kind of makes me think, as we evolve beyond AI slop, what are we going to
yeah,
get? Like, I can't wait to unlock this sort of type of creativity,
yeah.
right? And this is absolutely stunning. So, one of my
Yes.
favorite projects,
So this is what is it called?
the visual dome.
Visual Dome.
Yeah, the visual dome.
I will let's put a
I'll put a
link
little
to
link in there.
the show note. Yeah. Yeah, so I think like these types of creations and the people who are, no doubt that this person spent hours and hours
Yes.
crafting each image. And like you said, the way each image is rendered, there's certain lighting, certain depth of field, certain colors palette, there's certain taste and tone to it. So he or she who's doing this is aware of those nuances and putting into the prompts to make sure that there's consistency in the output. And I would bet this person has photography in their background one way or
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or film, or
Yeah.
art direction. I don't know. But, for me, this is a future of cinema in
Yeah.
many ways. This is a future of
Yeah.
a studio. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be even a collective of people, a team doing this. Don't know. But for me, this is the
Yeah. I mean, what used to take 300 people or even 1,000 people to create, it could be done with 10 people or
Oh,
even
yeah.
maybe less.
Yeah. Or you could have a
Yeah.
1,000-person studio, but create something that, a universe that's so complex
Yeah.
and intricate, you know,
Yeah.
that you could go several layers down, which is amazing. So,
It will be interesting, just not even 5 years from now, but like a year from now. And the obvious industry to get hit by this is Hollywood, and I think it's already we're already seeing some impact of that. But then, there's always something else that comes out of it.
yeah, there's always something that it has to evolve. I mean, it's getting surreal. I think, we talked about K-pop demon hunters, and I think
Mm,
I saw an AI video probably a couple of weeks ago where people were doing a behind the scenes of a
mm,
live action shoot of K-pop demon hunters, and it
mm.
looked so real. For a minute, I was like, "Whoa, this looks amazing." I'm gonna try to see
Oh
if I can find
wow!
it. Yeah.
So
Um,
and was it AI generated as well?
it gotta be because it's
Oh
not.
right,
I
right,
mean,
right, right.
it's
Yeah,
not a.
it looked like the film K-pop Demon Hunters,
Yes.
but it was from a different perspective.
It looked like it was taken behind the scenes of a live action shoot.
Mm, mm.
Okay, I think I found it.
Okay.
Should I play it?
Yeah, yeah, play.
Okay,
Oh,
fascinating.
wow. K-pop Demon Hunters live action BTS.
Like behind the scenes of a live action shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see it's AI, but at first
Oh my God.
glance, I think people are like, "Wait, what?" So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, really fun.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's
It's
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
Oh,
It's getting
wow.
it's
Even the
getting
character. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So,
Pretty good. Pretty good.
yeah, so I would say, it's getting interesting. So, obviously these are fan created content, but yeah, I think the universe is expanding.
Yeah.
It's definitely expanding. I mean, the
Yeah.
universe of content creation and movie making is drastically changing.
Be
Drastically.
changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's our takeaway?
What about you? Go ahead.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the bar for creativity is lower and higher at the same time. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that it's become easier than ever for anyone to create content is catch-all phrase, but I'll be specific: image or video-based narrative content for anybody to produce. 5 years ago, you had to either have some degree, you had to have some skill, you had to have some experience to be able to produce even like 10 seconds of content. And for creators, that's a profession that didn't exist 10 years ago. But iPhones and smartphones have made millions of people to be able to produce it. Now, hundreds of millions of people can produce professional looking content. So that bar has gotten infinitely lower than it used to be. But at the same time, because anybody can create, like the one that you were showing, the visual dome, for anybody to do something that's not just better, good and better, but different. Because I think like for something to stand out, it's not just about being better, but you have to be different and distinct. And that bar has gotten that much higher because anybody can do something that looks like K-pop Demon Hunters, or Studio Ghibli movies, or Japanese anime, or Hollywood movie, what have you. Anybody can create it, but for anybody to create something different and distinct is that much more difficult. So therefore, the creative bar is higher.
Yeah. I guess from an investor's point of view, I think the demand for entertainment generally is growing exponentially.
Mm,
So a way we can, sort of talk about it is that the traditional ways of making content is not scaling as fast as the demand for it. So there's
mm,
space. There's space. I
yeah,
think there's space for traditional made content and AI made content to coexist.
yeah,
Coexist because the pie is
yeah,
getting bigger. We're spending a lot more time on our phones. We're spending a lot more time consuming content on our phones versus,
yeah.
say, in the cinemas or movie theaters or all of that. The question is, when are we going to see this inflection of the professionalization of AI
Mm,
content?
mm,
And I think we're
mm,
going to
mm,
see that industry emerge very soon in the next 5 years.
yeah.
So the
Or sooner,
industrialization, yeah, or sooner. But
or
a
sooner.
true industrialization of this new type of studio,
Yeah, yeah,
which I think will happen.
yeah.
Will happen.
Cool. Well, that's a good place to end. Good topic. Fun topic. All
Fun.
right.
All right. See you next week.
Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.